Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I've got Jonathan Rose on today. He's with Genesis Gold. He is one of our fine sponsors. This is a Christian organization he runs. He's been in the metals business 30 years, owned his own company for 20 years. And there's some big things happening in the world of precious metals. Say on, my good friend.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back, Stan. And as you know, and I always tell you, don't hold it against me. I live here in California, particularly in Los Angeles.
Just repent. No, we love our California.
Just repent. Thanks, Stan. Well, you know what? You wonder what's going on with California because, you turn on the news, there's riots happening right now, mass deportations, ICE raids, police being attacked, National Guards, Marines, rollback a couple of months ago. Now we're talking about fires. Now we're talking about California running at a deficit. California is a mess, and it's been a mess for quite some time. I'm not a fan of the mayor of Los Angeles, or even, Gavin Newsom, as Trump calls him, New Scum, right? Where's the help for the people? Where's the infrastructure for the people here in California?
You guys have got Karen Bass. She'll fix everything.
Karen Bass is the one. Mike Caruso is the real winner. He ran as a Democrat because he knew that's the only way to get elected. And how he didn't beat Karen Bass, I'm pretty sure that was fixed as well, because he really is for people, for small businesses. He's a businessman that understands. But obviously, you look at Los Angeles, and it's one small pie of a bigger pie. And that word that comes to mind looking at this slice is instability, slices of instability that we're seeing, not just here domestically, but internationally as well. Obviously, we see what's happening in the Middle East. We see what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. We see what's happening now in immigration in the UK, where, it's too late for England, where I'm originally from, but it's just been run over by migrants. Not to say that my heart doesn't go out to migrants. It does, but there's a right way and a wrong way to enter a country. And if you're entering a country legally through the traditional channels, like I did, I'm a migrant.
Our people agree with all of that. Okay, so gold and silver. Tell us what's going on there and how.
Well, it's a good point, and it's kind of a segue, right? Because all this instability flows over, to our economic policies. Even when you talk about borders, it's a drain on our economic policies and the taxpayer. And the taxpayers are seeing these huge burdens right now. We're seeing a lot of cracks in the economy. And anytime you have instability domestically, internationally, and issues with foreign policy, it's a recipe for a strain on the US dollar, a weaker US dollar, but stronger precious metal prices, particularly gold and silver. And if we just jump straight in, Stan, and talk about gold, I'm looking at my trading screens over here, and I like what I see. I've often said when it comes to investing, I look at a 5-year window in everything, whether it's equities, the housing market, the bond market, precious metals, cryptocurrencies. I need that 5-year window to make myself feel good about what the future looks like. And if you look at 5-year gold, it's up 92%. If you look up silver, which I've been an advocate for, and I've told your audience that I think silver is going to be the new gold, silver 5 years is up 107%. And we'll talk about silver in a little bit. But even if we just look at 1-year gold, 1-year gold's up 44%. Silver is underperforming at only 25%, which is kind of ironic when you say 25%. Who wouldn't want 25% returns, right? Especially in this market. But the bigger headlines that are coming out right now is expect to have kind of a thunderclouds over the stock market and over the economy come summertime. We're entering into summertime right now. People are concerned with inflation. People are concerned with earnings reports. And it's going to be a question of, you're going to turn on the channel of your news, your favorite news channel, or you're going to read an article on Fox or wherever you're watching, and you're going to see any day now a big downturn in the market, 1,000 points, 1,500 points drop. Why is that? Because there's cracks in the economy. And when you put on top kind of like the cream of this pie. I'm using this pie reference today, Stan. The slice of the pie, put the cream on the top. The cream is the debt. And the debt, I've often say, debt does matter. You can't keep printing money and not expect any ramifications. Obviously, this big, beautiful bill, there's a lot of divide in the House and the Senate about items that are being passed in there that help people, but then they're also looking at the ballooning national debt that it adds to. And I often say debt does matter. And when you have this pie and each slice represents a problem, you've got to have something that's going to protect yourself from all of these issues. And that's really where gold and silver shines, excuse the pun there, right?
Let me jump in here. Okay, so I'm about to make 2 programs back to back. I believe that God spoke to me last night about this strawberry moon. Now, it's a whole program talking about that, so I can't begin to start it. But I think that is, in all my years of Bible prophecy, I've never been big on the stars or the moons is going to do this, but this one apparently is a big one. So I think that we're talking about possibly by the end of this week, June 14th is President Trump's birthday. It's also Flag Day. It's also the military parade day down Washington, D.C. So Trump has called in 2,000 California National Guard and 700 Marines. Okay, so what is going on? Is there about to be a martial law declared? Is there about to be an insurrection act declared? Are the massive arrests that we've been talking about at Prophecy Club for, I don't know, well, since 2017 about to start? Let me run some quick things by you. Now, you jump in here anytime you want to say something, okay? But the more trouble is heading our way, the more we need to have ourselves protected. And protection IRA, 401k, yes. Protection gold and silver or some other precious metal, yes. Now, here's the thing that ties us together. I'm reading from 6/8/2025bitcoin.com. Ron Paul expects BRICS to end dollar dominance with new July strategy. BRICS bloc is set to dismantle dollar supremacy with a sweeping monetary reset that could devastate U.S. economic power and global financial control. BRICS nations are preparing to introduce what he termed the Rio reset this July 6 and 7. Okay. So could it be that we're about to see a big change in our financial currency? Well, as you recall, Trump got upset with Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, for not lowering interest rates. Last week, he called him into the White House, and basically Powell walked out red-faced. The next day, Trump said he is announcing the name of a new Fed chairman, and basically he's going to be replacing him. Now, the last line on this article says, central banks worldwide appear to be responding to this emerging threat by increasing their gold reserves, signaling a broader move away from dollar dependency. Okay, so BRICS could make the dollar fall like a rock. Your comment?
Yeah, they're not far wrong. I think what a lot of people are beginning to realize and understand, Stan, is that the US dollar dominance has come to an end.
Yes.
And like all fiat currencies that have a start date and an end date, the dollar's end date is near. And people are looking for other currencies, other exchange of worth to kind of replace the US dollar. And if you're looking for a safe bet and you're looking for stability, you're looking for something that's been around since the dawn of time, you've got to look at gold. You can't put gold not into that argument in some way, shape, or form. It's one of the biggest assets on the US Treasury sheet as it stands right now. We had that big hoopla about Elon Musk auditing Fort Knox, right? What happened to that? We don't know, but that's something that still, we should definitely talk about.
If a person wants to write you a check where they put it through their scanner and email it to you so that they can lock in the price before it starts going up, do you do that?
you can't, we don't want to make sure, for scam reasons, there's lots of scams out there. So we want to make sure nobody's scanning in checks. But if people want to purchase gold, they can go to prophecyclubgold.com. And if they fill out their name and number, they can actually speak to one of our representatives, or they can call 800-200-GOLD, which is 800-200-4653. Because there's a couple ways you can purchase gold, Stan. One, physically hold on to it, and we ship it to you. So you have it in your hands. If there's an emergency, I have something called this. It's a prepper bar. Right. It fits in my wallet, wealth in your wallet. If I'm stranded somewhere or there's a riot going on and I have no cash, I have this. This is my get out of town ticket, okay? And it comes in gold as well. If you have an IRA or 401k, this is what I would also be focusing on right now, because summertime's coming. There's big cracks in the market. There's a lot of instability. There's a lot of unrest, okay, which you just talked about, especially in that article. Are we about to experience martial law? Let's hope not, but let's prepare and make sure that we're not going to be affected, because if there is a martial law or there are more riots in the streets and they spill over further and further, at what point does this have a very negative effect on the stock market? At what point does it have a negative effect on the value of the US dollar? And that's why when you look at the fundamentals for the price of gold, it's doing one thing: up, 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 up. It's a rock during uncertain times. And that's why you'd want to put gold in an IRA and a 401k. And the easy thing about it, Stan, excuse me, is that when you roll over an IRA, let's say you're with like Charles Schwab, you're with Fidelity, Empower, you may have a portfolio with stocks. People don't know this still. You can roll this over tax-free, penalty-free. The government encourages you. It's a little IRS known loophole that lets you roll over your retirement account into precious metals, physical gold. You still own it. You still get your statements. How that works is the metals are stored in a licensed depository backed by major exchanges. You can take it at any time, but that would be considered a distribution. So you can own gold, you can keep it tax deferred, and anytime you want this gold, you can take possession of it. And that, Stan, is really a secret weapon that people need to understand, that the IRS lets you do this, and you can protect your retirement IRA tax and penalty free, and it's something I highly recommend.
Okay, but if they want to lock in the price before it starts going up, as in like today, or like within hours, not even several days, how do they do that? How do they lock the price to get the very lowest price?
Yeah, they would give us a call at 800-200-GOLD. That's 800-200-4653. And we could, providing they get their funds in a timely fashion, or they're starting an IRA, we could definitely put some gold aside, lock in the price, and make sure that's reserved for them.
All right, let me say something about gold. I heard it said that in Abraham Lincoln's day, 1 ounce gold coin would buy a nice suit of clothes. And today, a 1 ounce gold coin will go buy a nice set of clothes. So really, the price of gold doesn't go up. It just that our dollar value goes down. Now, that might not be true with silver. As you remember, Shane Warren was told that silver is going to skyrocket far more than gold. Assuming that's true, then that would mean that you have a higher possibility of getting a bigger return in silver as opposed to gold, if you believe that. Your comment.
Yeah, no, I think silver is extremely, extremely undervalued right now. And there's a lot of people pouring into the silver market. I think you're going to see $75 an ounce here in the not too distant future. You've had some big money managers, Eric Sprott, billionaire, runs $1 billion fund, talk about $300 to $500 for the price of silver, an ounce, folks, an ounce. So when you look at the industrial demand for silver, it's at an all-time high, okay? New silver mines, they're not popping up. So really, when you're looking at supply and demand, just basic economics, the demand is completely outstripping the supply. Now is the time to buy an asset like silver. I know a lot of people have sat on the sidelines and have said, well, we've heard this before and silver's never moved. The market's been manipulated. you've never ever heard anyone, not one of our clients, saying, you know, I hate that gold or silver you sold us. Like, this is not something I've ever heard. And there's a little saying with gold: you don't wait to buy gold, you buy gold and wait. And I feel like it's very important that you understand the same fundamentals do apply to silver. And I think just give it a little bit of time, be a bit patient. And I know a lot of people, you know, very wealthy people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Stan, that are holding silver, building bunkers, storing silver. I'm not saying they're not buying gold, but they're holding and buying a lot of silver. And there's a reason why they're doing this.
Well, let's take, for example, one prophecy. I've got two, for sure, I think three people that say that one day the banks will just simply confiscate all the money in kind of a bail-in type situation. Hope that never happens, but assume that happens, and all of a sudden your credit cards don't work. You need some gasoline, you need some food. You can walk in with a gold coin, and sure, you can buy $100, $300, $400, $500 worth of groceries or gasoline with a gold coin. But the gold coin, if it's a 1 ounce, you're talking around $2,500. But if you pull out one of these, this is 5 of them, and this is the prepper bars. You can pull out one of these, and probably somebody, even if it's not the cashier, is probably going to say, "I'll make it good." You want some gasoline, you want some food, you pull that out, and you'll probably get your gasoline and food.
Yeah, we often say, you know, silver will buy you the bread, gold will buy you the bakery, right? So I think that's kind of a mentality of why people want to have small denominations. And you know, you're holding up this product. I'm going to hold it up myself too, because this is made in America, this product. And these grooves in here give you the ability to break off these pieces of metal that you see. These are 20th of an ounce, quarter of an ounce, 10th of an ounce. And like I said, I have it. Here's my wallet here. I'll make sure I don't show my credit card numbers, but I call it wealth in your wallet. I keep it here. It's, you know, if an emergency was to come up, this is 999 pure silver, 4 nines in the gold. And it's something I carry with me everywhere. It can also, there you go, a bit bigger than, yeah. It's also able to go in your IRA or 401k. So a lot of times what people do is they put these prepper bars in an IRA, and then when they take distributions, if they don't need the cash, they'll just take possessions of these, have them shipped to their home, because they're very stackable. You know, people can stack them, put them in their safe. You know, you could quite easily put, you know, $1 million worth of gold in a shoebox of one of these, maybe a heavy shoebox, but just kind of gives you the size. And again, when you're looking at the road ahead, and I often say, Stan, we don't have a crystal ball, but we have a pretty good roadmap, and we're looking at the debt. And something else I want to bring up, because a lot of news reporters have been asking me lately, what do I think is going to be the next big catastrophe that kind of tips the US over the edge to see, you know, another bull run in the market, especially for gold. Now, I already say that we're in a bull market for gold, but we may see something called a super cycle, where we're going to see the next leg up, and we could see $4,000, $6,000, $7,000 an ounce for gold. And where gold goes, silver does follow. But if you understand how the US bond market works, where people invest in US debt, and we look at other countries that invest in US debt, Japan being one of them, they're the third largest economy in the world. And when you look at their investment structure, they are most heavily invested in US debt, along with China. And what's happening in these foreign countries right now is they're running out of money. They're broke. Their economies, you think our economies have turmoil. It's not being, legacy media isn't publicizing what's happening in these other countries. And these other countries are at the tipping point where they can't afford to pay their bills, and the bond market is showing deep cracks in it. And we saw what happened to Greece in early, I think it was 2001, where, you know, Greece had issues with their liquidity issues, and then people were lining up at the bank. I'm not sure if you remember this, Dan. In Greece 2001, people were lining up at the bank and they couldn't pull their money out the bank. Okay, This is about to happen to Japan, and I think when one domino falls, it's just the beginning of the end for the rest, and it's all tied to the value of the US dollar. So the bond markets are showing deep cracks, and when you combine that with the amount of debt that's already around our neck as a noose, so to speak, you can't keep printing money and not expect any ramifications. Our debt on the interest on the debt is $1 trillion every 90 days. That's more than our US defense budget. We're spending on interest of the debt every 90 days. So something's got to give. It's like an elastic band. You're pulling it, you're pulling it, you're pulling it. What happens eventually? It snaps, right? This debt is like a runaway freight train. We cannot stop this freight train right now. And you have to jump off the freight train, okay? Because if you don't, it's going to end absolutely horribly. And this is why I'm, a big advocate for precious metals, because if you look over the years, 10 years, 20 years, you've never heard anybody say, oh, investing in gold and silver really hurt me. Absolutely not. It's the complete opposite. If anything, people who understand real money, fundamental, honest money, understand the importance of having a balanced portfolio, understand
out of trouble,
how it keeps you out of trouble. So this is why people need to do this now.
I think that, let me throw in something else. I've been watching, it's the first time I've said this publicly, but it's been in my heart. I've been watching Trump and this big, beautiful bill. And he has really put a lot of pressure on, especially right now, the senators. He wants to get that done by July the 4th. Okay, so what's happening July 6th and 7th? The BRICS plans to come online. So if he don't get that done by July the 4th, it's not about the midterms. It's about he's got to have something under his feet in order to battle what the BRICS are about to do, because he can't stop them from doing that. Now, my point is, you're talking about that rubber band. Something breaks, and all of a sudden, things start falling. Stock market falls, the bond market falls. Lots of things start falling. We're at the door. I think we're standing at the edge of the cliff, and we're going like this, trying to keep from falling over. But the wind is at our back, and we're losing our balance. And I don't know for certain, but I'm about to make 2 programs I think are going to, I think people's mouth will fall open. They'll say, oh my goodness, I didn't see this. I didn't see it this way. So my suggestion is, if you believe that I'm telling you the truth, 800-200-GOLD, 800-200-4653. Now, when you call, they're going to ask you, where'd you hear about us? And it'll come out Prophecy Club. And yeah, it helps your Prophecy Club. But more than anything, we want to make certain you don't lose your life's savings, your IRA, your 401k, or whatever your retirement is, or if you got a pile of money in the bank, or if you got a pile of money in some asset out there that could possibly crash. Now is a good time to start considering. Talk to the experts, call them, and just say, okay, here's my situation. Yeah, am I okay? And maybe they say, man, you're in good shape. Maybe they say, man, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what, Stan? So to cut you off, if we can't help you, we will find someone that will help you. That's how confident we are. Okay, helping your audience when they call, and maybe they're inquisitive. Maybe they just want more information on gold, and that's fine, because we have like an investor library with lots of resources in there that talks about the history of gold. Why they would want to put precious metals in their IRA and 401k, which metals are going to give them a better return in the future. Should they be holding on to coins? Is it bars? Should they be buying government issued coins or privately minted coins and bars? So, we're here to educate them. And I think education is key in any investment. So that's kind of like the first ladder, is let us send some information to you that will help you on the right trail with this. So prophecyclubgold.com, when they go to prophecyclubgold.com, we'll know, Stan, that they came through you. And if they're moving forward with an IRA, because they are a listener of the Prophecy Club, we actually do waive all their IRA fees and setup fees. Normally, customers have to pay for that, but because of our relationship with you, Stan, and Prophecy Club, we thank you for doing the Lord's work and educating your audience. And your audience is extremely educated, and I know this because we've had many people roll over their IRAs, and they could be educating some of my employees on gold, quite frankly, because these are baby boomers that have retired and they've been around the block more than once, and they understand what's happening out there. They see the cracks in the economy, and they want to hold on to what they've got. And I think that's the sentiment with a lot of people. Everyone wants to hold on to what they've got, but with how everything's spiraling out of control, having metals in your financial portfolio is going to give you stability. And if everything keeps spiraling out of control, the byproduct obviously are the prices that keep going up. Now, I don't encourage people to invest in gold because they're trying to make $1 million overnight. That's a byproduct of what gold offers, the stability and the security. So I would just make sure that if you're retired or if you're retiring and you want to hold on to what you've worked so hard for, now's the time to take the chips off the Wall Street casino and move that sideways and hold on to real money, sound money, which, my friends, is gold and silver.
Okay, so it's time to cash out. Is it difficult to get our money back out of the gold or silver if it's in an IRA or 401k? Roughly how long does that take? And second question, if we have physical possession of it, how long does it take to get that turned in and turn that into whatever the money might be at the time?
I'm glad you asked that, because I feel that's probably one of the top questions people forget to ask, because they're so excited about, piling into gold, getting into precious metals. It's a key question people don't ask, and something we pride ourselves on is educating people that when they do this, and people say, well, is there anything else I should know? And I tell them, yeah, absolutely. Liquidations. It's very important to understand that you're working with a company that can help you liquidate quickly and efficiently. So obviously, if you have the gold in your hand, you could probably be liquid in 48 to 72 hours. If it's within an IRA or 401k, if you're taking possession of the metal, you can have the metals in your hand probably 10 days or less. And if you're taking a liquidation out of your IRA or 401k, I'd probably say about 7 to 10 days to get the funds back, from physical metals back into fiat currency and into your account. Okay. No new silver mines are being found. And even if they were to find a new silver deposit today, Stan, it can take 7 to 10 years to set up mining infrastructure, pour it out of the ground, purify it, bring it back to a smelt form before it then goes into coins and bars. So that's also important to understand.
Jonathan Rose, we run out of time. Thank you, my friend, for coming on and helping us to understand gold and silver. ProphecyClubGold.com, ProphecyClubGold.com, or 1-800-200 or 1-800-6523.
No, close. 800-200 gold or 800-200-4653.
Okay, I should look at my background here. 800-200-4653. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.